Well, hello, my friends. It's Miss Bryant here. I am going to read you a story today. I'm actually going to read you two stories. So, there'll be two videos this week, starting off our week, because I want to read books in a series. And when you're reading books in a series, it's going to be the same characters and kind of just changes the story or adds to the original story. So, the first story that I'm going to read to you is Miss Nelson is Missing. All right, so here we go. The kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck on the ceiling, paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. Now settle down, said Miss Nelson in her sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered, they giggled, they squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story time. They always refuse to do their lessons. Something will have to be done, said Miss Nelson. The next morning, Miss Nelson did not come to school. Wow, yelled the kids. Now we can really act up. They began to make more spitballs and paper planes. Today, let's just be terrible, they said. Not so fast, hissed an unpleasant voice. A woman stood in an ugly black dress. Stood before them. I am your new teacher, Mrs. Viola Swamp. She rapped the desk with her ruler. Where's Miss Nelson? Asked the kids. Never mind that, snapped Miss Swamp. Open those arithmetic books. Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. All right, boys and girls, I have to tell you, do you know what an arithmetic book is? That is something that we used to call math. Reading, writing, and arithmetic is what I used to learn when I went to school. So this is a really, really kind of old-fashioned word for the word mathematics. Just thought I'd let you know. They could see that Mrs. Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work. And then she loaded them down with homework. Sorry about the wind, friends. I'm outside reading because it's just too pretty not to be outside. We'll have no story hour today, said Miss Swamp. Keep your mouth shut, said Mrs. Swamp. Sit perfectly still, said Mrs. Swamp. And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry. Days went by and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. Maybe we should try to find her, they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective McSmog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said. I think Miss Nelson is missing. Detective Smog would not be much help. The other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn. No one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the wicked Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. If she sees us, she'll give us more homework. They got away just in time. Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gobbled up by a shark. But that didn't really seem likely. Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars, said another kid. But that didn't seem likely either. I know, exclaimed one of the know-it-alls. Maybe Miss Nelson was carried away by a swarm of angry butterflies. But that was the least likely of all. The kids in room 207 became very discouraged. It seemed that Miss Nelson was never coming back, and they would be stuck with Miss Viola Swamp forever. They heard footsteps in the hall. Here comes the witch, they whispered. Hello, children, someone whispered in a sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson. Did you miss me? She asked. We certainly did, cried all the kids. Where were you? That's my little secret, said Miss Nelson. How about a story hour? Oh, yes, cried the kids. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour, no one was rude or silly. What brought this lovely change? She asked. That's our little secret, said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it in the closet, right next to her ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. I'll never tell, she said to herself with a smile. P.S. Detective McSmog is working on a new case. Now he's looking for Miss Viola Swamp. Well, I hope you like that story, boys and girls. Miss Nelson is missing. I remember reading this when I was a little girl. All right, so the next story I'm going to read, and remember, we're talking about stories in a series, it's going to be Miss Nelson Has a Field Day. So kind of looks the same, definitely same artist, definitely has Miss Nelson in the title. All right, so stay tuned for the next movie after this one. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Please go outside and play. It's gorgeous outside. I love you.